Good afternoon, student. For the second lovely session of SAP, we have Nagraj sir with us. Nagraj sir, you can continue with your class, and we should wait for 10 minutes. Right now, 36 attendees are showing. After 10 minutes, we
Exactly.
will start the class.
Exactly, Kunal. I see only 36. Okay, let the others join. And in the meantime, most welcome with your questions. Kunal, Kunal, another 5 more minutes and we'll join students. Okay. 2 more minutes and we will start the sessions. Okay, I'll just pick up if there are any questions. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. In the meantime, I'll just check with the SAP system as to what is wrong, or we'll continue with the uh, theory. Let's spend some time. So tomorrow we will do the practical side. If at all the server is not up by the time we start, 1 more minute and we will start off students. Okay. All right. Now we had stopped at slide number 915. We'll continue reading it, though it may sound a little monotonous. You'll have to read. There is no other go. All right. It is definitely going to give you some insight into the whole system, students. Okay. Let me assure you of that. All right. Now, just a moment. Let me check if the SAP system is on. If this is on, that's wonderful. No, I will check it out, students. Okay. I will just check it out and ensure that it is up. All right. So your variance is calculated at the end of the period. So we all know that. Okay. So we know that the order has to be settled at the end of the life cycle, or it's just a temporary storage. Your internal order may be surviving for say 3 months or 1 year or 2 years. Okay, depending upon what is the nature of the project and how you are using this particular uh, internal order. Okay. So we already discussed what is S, standard pricing. V, it is the weighted average. Okay. Comparison of methods. Students, I think you will be experts in this. All you'll have to do is connect your practical, of course, probably the work wise, you may not be having, at least most of you wouldn't have stepped into the job. Still, I presume that you're all students. Okay. Period end. Actual template allocation. Okay. So he has actually set up the process of running the allocations. Or typically your See, did you just get an idea as to what critical reports uh, the controlling module is handling? And this is one of the most, especially when you talk about the unfinished processes. The calculation of WIP is of it's of a huge importance, and it's a module by itself. The result analysis. Where did you see this result analysis? When I showed you the variance, the 0. So it said some WIP/RA, if you remember the screen. See the version 0 he has mentioned. See version 0. This is exactly what we saw. So this is all the choosing of the version itself while you are setting up the configuration for the controlling area. That sets up the whole calculation for your areas like your WIP, your variance analysis. Okay. So he has discussed the steps for you to calculate the WIP in SAP. SAP system is also down today. Okay. Basic concepts of your COPA. And we have a very important concept here called as basically this is your report generation. Your COPA is basically your report generation, and we talk apart from the COPA, we talk about a concept called as your report painter. I don't know if there is any reference to it, but yeah, we use something called as a report painter for us to design the reports. Let me see if there is a reference to the report painter. See, as I said, you need to understand as to what is a characteristic and what is a value field in your COP. Okay. I think he has given you the examples also. What is a character? What you define? See, characteristics. Sales region is your character. So he has defined a set of normally used entities such as characters and values. So how much of the sales region of the north region, how much of it is, how is it working? Product wise, if product is a character, if you're producing 10 products, how is each product working? Product A, product B, product C. Okay. And based on the product group, what is the nature of materials that you are producing? Okay. So based on so many inputs, what you receive from your implementing partner, you actually design your, and basically, as I said, all your designing happens in your Excel sheet first. We make notes in the Excel sheet or in the Scratchpad. We are in the meeting, we make notes and we convert it into SAP much later. Once all the things are put in black and white in your Excel sheet, and where all the requirements are frozen, there's not going to be any change anymore. So then once when we concretize the requirements of the project, we start converting all the requirements into SA. We bring the configurations into SA. Okay, probably SAP is the last thing what we do in our projects. First and the basic thing what we do is understanding the requirements. So see, we already discussed about a table called ACDOC. I don't think you'll be able to see this because this is an ECC system. So I don't think I will show you BSEG and your BKPF. Definitely BKPF I will show you. So what is costing based and what is accounting based PA profitability analysis? So he has given you the examples. Okay, how this and that works, how the accounting based profitability analysis works with the same data. But what is the how you are getting the output? Okay. Uses special database tables and produces revenue and COS, cost of sales, simultaneously when the billing document is calculated. What is the difference between account based and the costing based? You can just mentally make note of this graph which is going to be displayed now. All right. So it is the same data. See, the figures are the same, but the view that was account based, this is costing based. See, I'm just comparing. Yeah. Same data, same figures, but the only thing is what is the from which area or what is your end result of viewing the data? What is that you're going to achieve? Clear? It is the same data from the costing perspective and from the accounting perspective. All right. Let us read the last information. It posts revenue when the billing document is created, but updates the COS at the point of goods issue. We have a process called as post goods issue, PGI, in accounting or in our SAP. So at that point, we have this particular. So there it is immediately done once the billing document is generated. But here it is done only after the goods are issued out of your sales department to the customer. Here. So here we have a series of steps called as a PGI, post goods issue. Yeah. So as you see, this is the line item table of your HANA SAP for especially for your COP and for all other things also. Okay. Data flow in COPA. Let us read together. So you have again, there is a difference in the results, what you see from the costing based and your accounting based. And this is a theoretically explanation of what is the difference between your COPA when you're looking at the results from the costing perspective and from the accounting perspective. All right. Assigning overhead costs. Anything which I can add value. Let me just check. You can transfer cost in the other area periodically. Fine. Okay. Students, probably this may look a little not understandable. Still okay. Put in an effort to read it. Okay. At least try to understand what is the typical CO language, what SAP uses. Yeah. Only from that perspective. See, these things require a lot of data and a lot of understanding from the system perspective. Yeah. So even before you work on all these concepts, you need to be very good in your finance. Okay. And you need to have a little knowledge about your costing and cost elements, how you set it up. Okay. Probably even in your live projects, you're not given this area of CO at least for 2 years. You would have got into the project as a FICO consultant, but the initial way you are being assigned work is only from the finance perspective, and you're supposed to, as let us say, if at all you're very interested to proceed or to excel in your career as an SAP consultant, you need to work with senior level consultants who are experienced hands in the CO module. So that is highly encouraged and highly appreciable. And that is when only maybe say I got into the CEO thing maybe after say, of course, uh, I was getting into the meetings and trying to understand the CO side of the business, but actual handling of the issues did not come to me till the end of say at least 1.5 years, or maybe say even 2 years. Okay. So I got into the SAP finance say way back in 2008 or 9, though uh, I got certified in 2007 in finance, but I had the experience of SAP from 2005 onwards. So I knew the whole process, and so I took up certification. 2008 was my first project. So there, yeah, I got uh, I got a hands-on experience in the CO module. That is, I was owning the okay, in 2008, probably a very little thing about CO, because in that project we had exclusive CO consultant handling the issue. So the thing is, we had our hands full in our finance side, and even if we had some time to learn, we did not want to disturb the CO consultant because his hands were more than full. And the way you're reading the topic, that itself is a enough indicator for you to know what are the things that needs to be handled in SAP CO module. Yeah. So we used to pick up some things here and there, and and we were not a part of the CO team till the till maybe say 2 or 3 projects. That is roughly around 2.5 years, 2 years minimum. All right. So this is the expectation. Okay? At least 1.5 years. You must have handled enough and enough of finance issues so that you get a hang of the. And we were also allowed to suppose if there is a combination of your FI and CO, the CO consultant would take up the issue on himself, but he would also involve us to explain the things and the flow of how what things are happening and what is the scenario, why he is doing it. All right. So in his free time, we used to sit late hours and we used to learn the C, right? And from then on till now, there has been lots and lots of ways things have changed in SEO also. Okay. So all we expect from you is what are the main components in your CO master data, your your cost centers, profit centers, segments, and what are they? How you exactly view them in the SAP system. If you know that much, that is good enough for you to begin. And maybe say little about your internal orders. I'm not talking about your PC, product costing, or your COPA, or your material ledger, or anything of that. Okay. Make to order. Yeah. So we just discussed that. Made to order, made to stock. So basically your COPA is only this. Clear, students? After this, I will check if the SAP system is up. I have muted the video. But students, please go through this video also. Okay. That will try to explain the scenario. So if I want to restart, I can restart, or maybe what is the next setting? Knowledge check. So you know what is the, so proceed, or I can click on the right button, proceed. Management accounting is designed to assign data from business transaction to CEO in order to make clear. Okay, you know the answer. The answer is true. Okay. Anyway, let's read if product costing. Anyway, I'm not going to read each and every question, but I'm going to go through all the slides till 966 because I don't want to miss out on any of the, what are the cost and revenue elements in management accounting, primary cost elements, all the elements, secondary cost elements, revenue elements. The cost center assignment to the standard hierarchy area is time dependent. How do you understand this question? Can somebody relate the statement to a question which was asked yesterday? Somebody asked me a question yesterday, the dates reflecting 1999 to 9999. That's exactly how you relate this. Clear? I'm not even going to read the questions. Okay, I'm just going to check whether I have finished all the slides. Profit centers are now included as an account assignment in general ledger accounting. What could be the answer? Anybody wants to take a chance? Let me just check if you have any questions. Okay, I seem to have a question. Good afternoon. Okay. Any takers for this question? Profit centers are now included as an account assignment in your GL accounting. I'll just wait for one more minute. Expecting your answer. That's why, students, I always say, even in your certification, if at all somebody is interested to pursue his or her career in SAP consulting, you will see questions like this, especially from the English perspective, it is going to be a little tricky if at all you are talking about the CO certification. See, I was talking about 2007, I finished my FI certification. After I got an experience of say 5 years, my company sponsored me to take up the CO certification. Yeah. So that is also one way of getting certified. So you need to obtain uh, the experience certificate from your organization, typically from your project manager, and your HR will authenticate it. And you will have to submit this permissions to the requisite body, and then you can take up the exam. Any takers for this, students? True. Okay, I think the statement is false. I'm simply going to keep quiet. Okay, I'll tick both. First, I will go with false. Why is it false? Why is it false? Any takers? The second person who has answered it is correct. What was your logic? This is your first experience of reading the statements. Please read. That is the catch. Isn't it? Doesn't the question sound very simple? But how many of you have read it correctly? It is actually not the profit centers. Do we enter the profit centers or do we enter the cost centers? We always enter the cost centers, not the profit centers. Profit centers are always derived. Segments are always derived. Let me, okay, I'll remember this. I'll just check if the SAP system is up so that you are sure about your answer. Let me just check the SAP system. Students, do you see how the questions can be? Oh. So this is what, please spend some time on reading the questions. That is my suggestion. All right. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry at all. Okay. Primary costs include $953. I think all the slides are questions only. There is nothing. But don't try to get disturbed if your answers are wrong or something, especially not from the CO perspective. Okay. And I'll tell you one of my experiences in the CO module. I think the remaining slides are also only questions. So students, we are left with the integration module. Clear? So how did you find the CO module? And believe me, students, it was just an introduction, not even a complete introduction. Because see, I will tell you my experience. While I was taking up the CO module, now I don't know how the materials, I think in the form of there you're going to get soft copies of the course content. Okay, I'm talking about the certification students. Now we were given 4 books. Okay, unit 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and especially when you came down to the second and the third book, the sentences were simply so very confusing, and you could not even relate. Imagine we had an experience. 2 of us took up the examination. Okay, and both of us cleared. That's a different matter. But the point there was, when we were struggling with the questions, trying to understand, we never knew that, okay, so many things are hidden in a SAP. We were such wonderful concepts, but it required lots and lots of understanding. And the book was almost crossing, it was close to, say, it was almost like a fat book, a very fat book. Both the volumes, all the 4 volumes were fat enough to disturb your sleep, but especially the second and the third, it was so very loaded with concepts that it was pretty hard for us to even having an experience of say 5 to 7 years. The other person was 7 years. I was the junior most in experience, so 5 years, who ventured out to clear the CO certification. So this was the experience. So it is not easy, or rather, if at all you expect that with this uh, course is wonderfully designed, the material concepts is wonderfully designed by SAP, absolutely no doubt. But the point here is how much of it you can understand is the issue. Because I would assume that none of you would have got the project experience in SAP. Okay? And forget the CO mode. Do not get perturbed even if you go wrong in answering the questions, especially in the knowledge check section. Don't even bother. Okay, read. First time, it'll just fly. Second time, probably you may get a hang of very small things. All right. Third time, probably a much better understanding. And continuously you keep putting in efforts, reading it, trying to understand, trying to look into the SAP system. But of course, you are too very premature, especially for the CO module. If I ask you to work on the CO module, I'll be highly unfair. Okay, I will not be fair enough on you people. So concentrate on the finance side. It is with this information on controlling, it is more than sufficient for you to start learning. Yeah. Any questions, students? And in the meantime, I will just talk to the concern to find out what is wrong with the server. Anything else you want me to do for the next 1 hour, students? How did you find today's topic? Complex, right? Am I right, students? Complex, confusing, more than confusing, complex to understand, complex to relate things. Am I right, students? Any questions from the finance side? I don't know if the system will be up. Let me try my best, students. I'll be on mute, students. I will try to see that if the system is up and running, I'll just talk to the concerned person. In the meantime, any questions regarding the finance, most appreciated. Kunal, are you there?
Yes, I am there, sir.
Kunal, any information regards to SAP system? Looks
I
it's down.
think the error one person has said now. I have
Uh-huh.
said the same error with Janvi ma'am. They are looking into it. What is the issue from SAP GUI perspective?
Okay, even I'm getting the errors, so I wanted to show them something on the system, but
Okay, sir. I think I have already shared with Janvi ma'am. They are
sure,
looking
sure.
into it, sir.
Okay, okay, thanks, Kunal. Yeah. In fact, I was about to call up Mr. Mubarak. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But don't worry about you will slowly be pushed into CO also. Okay, don't worry. So we are left with the integration topic. I think there is no other go but to start integration. See, we have reached. So this is exactly what we were supposed to cover. Now, what is this integration? Let us read. Let us hope that the SAP system is up and running at the earliest. So this is also called as your IBP, Integrated Business Processes. And you know why it has got this name, integrated? Because not only one module is involved in this, but you have a number of modules getting involved in the processes. Okay. So how many pages do we have? We have almost say 200 pages. Fair enough. Now, so as I said, we are going to study, or rather we are going to read these particular cycles, business processes, record to report, source to pay. What is record to report? It is your integration with your finance and your CO. That is what is called as a record to report. Clear? And students, to add one more information, there is also an SAP certification for this IBP. Yes, they have started a certification course for IBP also, integrated business process. You can be a integrated business process certified. Clear? So are we even talking about the integration? So this is your CO and FI. This is your FI and MA. Yeah. And we have already seen the asset. Yes, students, haven't we seen the asset accounting? Yes. Now we'll try to understand the purpose. Why should we even have a concept of your processes? Explain the integration points between applications, whether it is ECC or HANA. All right. It's not only with HANA that you do the integration. We also had the concept of integration even in ECC. As I said, conceptually, there is nothing different at all. All right. So a video for you to record to report processing. This lesson will provide an overview of record to report and the business processes that are associated with record to report processing SAP S/4HANA. We have all seen this. Hold on, I will tell you what and all we have seen, and I will definitely pitch in what we have not seen. So we know the meaning of integration. And more so, I want you to concentrate on the business processes. Yeah. What happened? Why isn't the slide moving? Yeah. Okay. Of the integration concept. ERP software with other applications. So students, here we are not only talking about the integration within the SAP system, but going by the requirement. So I will tell you a real-time scenario where you are okay with the automatic payment program, right? At least the understanding of the term. Now, in one of the projects, we had a third-party tool which was integrated. Okay, to complete the process. See, the whole process was getting done in SAP, but some things based on the requirement of the implementing partner, we tagged it with a third-party tool called as iDocs, intermediary documents. So this app or this application was a combination of both your functional as well as the technical people. So we used to, the final part of your payment used to happen through this iDocs. This is exactly what is called as your with other applications. And to explain this further, whenever there used to be an error, and all these errors are very, very critical, students, especially when it raises from a sensitive area like that of payments. Each issue is a high priority issue. So whenever we call these issues as tickets, we can use the term issues or tickets in SAP. So if at all there is any issue in your payments or if the payment has failed, so what do? The user raises a ticket, raises an issue in something called as a ticketing tool. How do we come to know that the user has raised an issue? And typically we used to use a tool called as solution manager, or even it was called as Solman. So this may not be applicable for every project, but this was one of the most commonly used ticketing tool. Yeah, the solution manager, Solman. So, and these tickets, especially when it is relating to sensitive areas, it is a high priority issue, meaning to say your time starts ticking. You are on fire, especially the consultant who's responsible for resolving the issue. He is on fire because it is such a highly escalating issue, and this gets escalated to the very highest levels, even to the level of the VP, Vice President. Okay, we have seen all the scenarios, students, nothing new. Okay, we were on fire for the same tickets, we still remember. So this is a process. Now, why did I bring so many things is here? Just to explain what is the other applications. So we had to apply some third-party tool to satisfy the requirement, to complete the requirement uh, of the business of the implementing partner. So there was a gap which SAP could not meet. So whenever there was a discussion on the accounts payable, this gap was closed, or this analysis, the gap analysis was satisfied through an application of a third-party tool called as IDocs, intermediary documents. Clear? Click on each. I think this is nothing new. The ability to capture and manage complex data. Clear? Single source of information, regulatory compliance, agility, ROI, supply chain optimization. So please read them through. Okay, I will come back to the core essay. Okay, whenever whenever the slide demands that I need to enter into the, it may not be possible today. I may not be in a position to uh, get into the SAP system today. It looks like SAP HANA, or rather even ECC, seamlessly integrates with the best-in-class solutions. Ariba, what is this? I think I had already explained. Concur, success factors, field glass. So SAP went on acquiring companies which had experience or which had expertise in, for example, your Ariba, basically towards your logistics. Success factors, expert in the HR side. So they bought over companies and they applied them to their SAP product. Clear? So to enhance the performance of the product. Right? Did I say something about Concur? I still remember. Anyway, I will take this up when we are back after our short break. Okay, I can do that in the meantime, no questions. Okay. So now, whenever you are sent out on organizational work, what do you do once you return to your base company? I'm based in Bangalore. Even my company is based in Bangalore. I'm sent on a project to say Delhi, say for or maybe say discussion for 1 week. So what do I do? As soon as I'm back in Bangalore, I need to submit all the bills, whatever my expenses and whatever I'm authorized to get from the company. So what does Concur do? So whatever bill, even without manually involving myself, now you have this internet. I can scan the bills and the Concur captures the place where I am, okay, the whole information and the expense also. So I don't have to come and make a note of it somewhere and come back from Delhi and then write my expense statement and submit it to my team or submit it to my manager. Understood, students? This is where our technology has reached. So I don't have to prove that I have been in Delhi, nothing at all. I don't have to physically staple and then produce the bills, absolutely nothing. Here, Kunal, shall we take a break for 10 minutes? Okay, students, we will take a break for 10 minutes. We'll reassemble at 3:10. All right. And once we are back, please let me know how you're feeling about the session, especially the scene. Yep. Confusing, complex. Yes, I'm very much with you people. So we'll come back by 3:11. All right. Shall we start? One more minute and we will start, right? Yeah, okay. So now we were trying to understand, or we were trying to get into what was the integration. Okay. Yeah. Uh, so there are areas where whenever an issue is raised by the end user. Okay. Now I'm starting to use since we are coming close to the uh, program, I have started using the typical SAP terms. Okay. So any end user raising the issues or the tickets. So especially in areas like your payments and issues which actually bring the business to a stop. These issues, they take up the consultants space. They eat away a lot of, but of course, that is the job for which you're in the company, to attend to the queries, to attend to the issues raised by the end users, right? So these issues, based on the priority, based on the seriousness of the issue, they are categorized into different categories: high priority issues, medium priority issues, low priority issues. Okay, and everything is time based. The solution what the consultant must provide is strictly based on the timelines. For the high priority, not more than, you are supposed to resolve the issue within 2 to 4 hours. Yes. For the medium priority issues, which are not so very critical to the business, they don't stop the business, you may take any time between 2 to 3 days. And the low priority may take one entire week, maybe say 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. Okay? This is how the categorization happens. And all the information has to be in the made or to be made available in your ticketing tool. Why should it be available in the ticketing tool? Because let me say tomorrow I go off on a 1 week leave, 1 week vacation. So my project manager or my team lead should be knowing where exactly I'm positioned as far as my issues are concerned. And even in my absence, suppose if there is an urgent meeting, my team lead or my project manager should be in a position to tell them what exactly is the issue. So that is exactly why all the communication, suppose I'm handling an issue, all the communication between me and my end user who has raised the issue must be documented. Documented in the sense all the communication must be available in my ticketing tool. Even the mails what we exchange in terms of the solution or in terms of the issue, he has to be mentioned in the ticketing tool. Okay, this is how the exact project scenario works like. Now, so he has set this graphically, and one more information stories. All right. Okay. At the appropriate time, I will share that information. Not a So you already know what is end-to-end process. Series of processes or sub-processes involved from the beginning of an activity to the end. Clear? So kindly go through all these slides. Okay. Record to report processing. What exactly is this? And even before I start, we have already done this. It's only a repetitive thing, but nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong in me repeating things. But why I say that we have already done this is we have done it from the controlling perspective. This is exactly what it demands. Just see. Click on the next button, or you can click on the next arrow, single arrow. Clear? An English description. So please click on each of the entity and read them. Okay. All are self-explanatory. I don't have to read all this for you people. Now, the basic thing is what do we need to understand? What is the record to report? I've already given you the answer that it is the integration between your FI and your CO module. Introduction to Universal Journal. What is this? Haven't we seen the ledgers? Leading, non-leading. Can you see this? The leading ledger, non-leading ledger, 0L. That's why I said at the introduction itself, I said we have already seen this, but not as a business process, but in bits and pieces. So first we studied what is a leading ledger, what is segment reporting, and now then we came back to what is controlling, what is a cost element. All these things you might see all over again. Anything else which I need to explain? I don't have to explain anything, right, students? You know what is the concept of 0L, I mean the leading ledger, company code, fiscal year, document, line item, segment, clear? Absolutely and absolutely nothing new. General ledger postings, you have already seen how the general ledger postings look like. Your 40, 50, just see, not a problem. Click on the numbers. You have the header portion of the document. You have the line item of the portion, the line item portion of the document. You have the further information as regards the tax related information. We have also seen posting with reference. Okay. Anybody needs any explanation? I'll give you 2 minutes. If any, but unfortunately, I don't know if the SAP system is working. Anyway, I will take up that question, make a note of it in my Excel sheet, and I will get back to you tomorrow if you have any questions regarding this. Think over it, students. Any questions? It can be repetitive also. We are already in the last unit. And as I've always been telling you students, do not set any expectations as far as the CO module is concerned. Okay, it could be sounding very, very new. All right, don't bother. Eventually, you will definitely be pushed to learn CO. But conceptually, be very, very clear about it. Okay, not the entire depth of the CO module, but students, I'm waiting for your questions. All right, I will proceed. You can stop me whenever you have questions. No problem. Journal entry template. Let me see if the SAP system is up. I think it is still getting, it'll take time, not a problem. Haven't we seen this process? Once all the data is entered, you can view it as a simulate document, or you can directly post. We have seen all this, nothing is new. We're just revisiting with a different name. Integrated business process, IBP. So we know what is a company code. What else is he going to define? Let's just check. So he has given the example of a company code. We have already seen this ledger. Parallel accounting. This term is not new. See this? Ledger 0L, ledger 2L, non-leading. 2L is your non-leading ledger. 0L is your leading ledger. This is for your local accounting principle. Your bike company is using 0L for your local accounting principles, and it is using 2L for your European accounting principles, IFRS. Segment. Are we new to this concept, students? Absolutely no. We know what is a segment. Segment reporting. See, they are differentiated various segments. All right. Spare parts is segment 1000_B. Services is 1000_C. And the bike production is segment 1000_A. All right. So we know what a profit center is. See, by whatever definition, by whatever name you may want to call this, but the ultimate purpose is the same. Why and how do you use your profit center, or what exactly you mean by a profit center? Okay. I have given you a typical business description or a business explanation for the term profit center. Please spend some time reading all this. So now what happens with this particular course? You'll be in a much better position to connect it with this particular material or any other conversation. Suppose you have friends who are already working in on a SAP platform, and if they are talking between themselves and you're also there, you will not be left out. Even you can contribute to their discussion, at least by understanding what exactly they mean or what exactly they are talking about. So is this all your record to report? Right? Source to pay process. Earlier, this was called as a purchase to pay cycle. Now it is called as a source to pay, meaning this is an integration between your finance and your material management model. So what are the definite steps involved during the integration? So when you're talking about two different modules, how exactly they are integrating? What exactly is the process? In the meantime, do I have any questions? Yeah. Okay. Now, so each and every process has a definite life cycle in the sense. Let us see what exactly he has to say. So graphical representation of what exactly constitutes your P2P cycle or your source to pay cycle. Basically, what is a source? Identification of a vendor who can supply you with the raw materials. He becomes the source. So even before the source is identified, okay, how does the process trigger? How does the process trigger P2P? Earlier in your purchase to pay or P2P cycle or your source to pay cycle. Now in HANA, it is called as a source to pay. The only change is in the nomenclature. All right. Earlier ECC, it was called as a procure to pay or your purchase to pay cycle. Now, where exactly does the activity trigger? Where exactly is the integration happen? First point. Just hold on. Okay. Source to pay. So what is the first trigger? So I'm assuming that you are, or rather my organization into production of products. It produces say 2 or 3 products. Okay. So now I need to procure raw materials for the production of these items. So how does the business know that there is a requirement for the raw materials? Information has to come from somewhere. Purchase request. So the first and the foremost trigger is your purchase request. So the department which wants the material raises a request in the form of a PR, purchase request. Now what happens? Now I know that I need to purchase 125 kgs of a specific material. Now what do? I go and scout the market, search the market. Vendor evaluation. So I would want to identify and pick up a vendor from a set of vendors who are known to supply the item which I want. So what happens? I pick up the most competent vendor who can supply the quality items on time. Yeah. So I enter into a understanding with him, or rather I enter into a contract with him, which is through a purchase order. So the relation between the vendor and my organization gets formalized by the purchase order. Clear? Now, after the purchase order, what happens? The vendor supplies the item, receive the items, and how does this particular, and it comes to your gate. This particular receipt of, this is also called as a purchase receipt or your material inward or whatever you want to call. Goods receipt. It is also called as goods receipt. GR. Now what happens? You bring it into your store, there is a quality check, whatever. Let's not worry about that. Now, once when the vendor supplies the items, what is his immediate next step? He raises the invoice. Vendor raises the invoice. How is it getting recorded in your system? Through the Miro. Invoice receipt, IR. Clear? Now, once when the vendor raises the invoice, what happens? This particular transaction comes and sits in the books of accounts. So it comes and sits in the books of finance. Till here, there was no involvement of the finance. All right. Now here, there is an entry. All right. Now, this particular transaction, it indicates the finance department saying that there is a liability to be met. Because you need to pay the vendor. Now, what happens in the next step? The cycle closes or the cycle comes to an end when the vendor supplies all the items in the PO and you release the payment. We have seen all the processes. F-53, F-58, F110. So through any one of the methodology, I clear off my liability by making a payment to the vendor. So this is the closure of your P2P cycle, purchase to pay cycle. Now, why are you saying it as an integrated business process? You are integrating your finance module with the material management module. Clear? Now, what happens? Is the finance department responsible for raising the purchase request, the purchase order? No. Now, the role of an FI consultant here is, are we familiar with this term? Account determination. Of course, we are familiar with this. See, I've already mentioned account determination. What is this account determination? You are tagging the general ledger accounts linking the GL accounts. Did we see at the asset in the asset accounting where we go and actually do it? Correct. If somebody remembers anything about the asset accounting account determination, the transaction code is AO90. Here we achieve the account determination through the transaction code OBYC. And even much before we are talking about the OBYC, does somebody remember we have a thing of valuation of material? I said normally the material is valuated at the plant level or at the company code level. Did I make the statement sometime earlier? So normally you evaluate your materials at the plant level or at the company code level. Now, just like we have our general ledger account master data in the form of a operational chart of accounts, the people also will have a set of master data for managing the materials what the company procures. Do you agree with me, students? So they also categorize the materials into valuation areas. So you have the material being classified into raw materials, semi-finished goods, spares, consumables. Based on the business, you have the materials being classified and a master data created by the material management people through the transaction code MM01. So when I take you into this particular transaction MM01, you will see that the system asks me for which is the purchase organization and various other details. What is a okay? What is a purchase order? I mean, purchase order, no, not in this. All right. It asks me just like my customer and vendor asked me for the account group. Similarly, in your material master, it will definitely ask me, how are you categorizing this material? Clear? So they have their own creations. So they create something called as a purchase organization, which is similar to your company code. Later, you have this MM01. Sorry. This is, I think, ME51, I guess. I'm not very sure. Okay. So this is how, this is the start and the end of this particular business. So it starts with something called as a PR, purchase request, raised by the department which wants the material, and ends with the release of the payments. Between these steps, you have so many settings which both of them need to do. Who are this both? Finance as well as the MMP. Okay? Because you will have your own payment terms. You'll have to design the vendor master. You will have to design the material master. You will have to have the accounts, GL accounts in the specific places. Yeah. So these are all the huge responsibility which is shared by the two consultants. First and the foremost, let me put it this way. integration between FI and MM. So now we have crossed the FI AP. FI AP, we already know the same thing happens when you're setting up the vendor master. You will have to set a link to the finance module through the reconciliation account. They are all the basics. All right. So they are all the basics. So I don't have to repeat. So how the FI module talks to the AP module, how the FI module talks to the AR module. I don't have to talk about all that. You know very well as to how these things are achieved. This is achieved through your reconciliation account. Same thing happens with your OBYC also, but in a larger scale. What was restricted to just say one general ledger or one reconciliation account, here it spreads. So many general ledger accounts are to be designed in your finance module to meet up all the requirements of the purchase activities. Yeah. So we'll practically see all this once the SAP system is up and running. Let me just check. In the meantime, do you have any questions? No questions. So let me just check. Hold on. So do you see the same thing out here? Requirements determination, determination of the source. Then you select your vendor. You have the formal understanding with your vendor through a PO. Then you monitor the purchase order, whether you have received whatever. You have the GR, you have the IR, then you have the payment. You can click on each one of them. Absolutely. The responsible department manually creates the PR to inform the purchasing of its requirements. See how it is getting linked to the automatic MRP run. We call this as an MRP run. So I said basically with your production planning. You have your source, you can read it. The system supports buyers in determining the supply source, vendor selection. So you have a concept called as RFQs, request for quotations. So you can take quotations from various vendors and finally select one of them who's competent enough to give you a very decent quality at a negotiable price, at a competent price, okay, and on time. Timely deliveries, quality supply, and what else? Decent price, competent price. Purchase order handling. Okay. You monitor your purchase orders. This is your GR. This is your first accounting entry which happens. So you debit the inventory and credit the GRIR claim. This is the entry which happens. It directly doesn't go and hit your vendor. So normally what would have been your entry at the MIGO level? Purchase debit to vendor. Do you agree with me? This is going to be your entry, or rather purchase debit to vendor. But here it is not so. It is your inventory, or rather your GRIR. So the nomenclature itself is GRIR clearing. So normally at the end of the process, this account should be reconciled. There has to be a match. I think we read about this process, right? Whenever the goods supplied but invoice not raised. All right. The invoice raised but goods not supplied. So all these are typical, and there is a difference between your PO and your goods receipt. So all these things are considered. Not only this, you have very, very interesting concepts like that of movement types. All right. Material movement type. Let me write it down. Very interesting concepts. Movement types, account keys, transaction event keys or event keys, whatever. Transaction keys, whatever, by whatever name you want to call. I will tell you everything about it. Okay, so the account keys, some of them are BSX, then GBB. Some of the commonly whatever we use. How this is getting tagged to your account determination is our discussion for tomorrow. Since the system is not up, let me check again. So I just made a note before this skips out of my mind. This skips my mind. All right. Okay. Let me just check if the system is up. Sorry, students. Okay. Tomorrow, I will definitely take you into the system and show you all this. In the meantime, let us spend some time with your views, because I don't want to start another process. All right. Because if I start the, say, lead to cash process or something, that also will take some time. All right. So you're most welcome to share your thoughts. I think the strength has reduced to 67 from 82 or 83. So for the next 5 to 7 minutes, it's your time, students. I'll keep silent. You ask me questions. Unfortunately, I am not in a position to show you anything on the SAP system. I'll wait for 2 minutes, students. All right. And if there are no questions, we can log off 5 minutes early. I'll wait for 2 more minutes. Kunal, you're there?
Yes, sir. Only 3 seconds. After that, I can think we can log off.
I think we can log off since there are no questions.
No questions are there. Correct, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Mm.
student, for your lovely patience and attending the session. And thank you, sir, for the lovely session of SAP.
Thank you.
Today, right now, we are winding up for the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow morning.